Tua Tagovailoa completed 10 of 28 passes in last night's 23-17 loss to the Chargers. Now, in Tua's last two games, both L's by the way, he has a combined 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Prior to that, Tua had 19 touchdowns to only 3 picks through 11 games. Shannon, who's the real Tua? The one we saw through the first 11 games, or the one who struggled the past 2 contests?
Maybe somewhere in the middle. Skip, it seemed to me, maybe it was just me, but it seemed like Miami receivers had a hard time locating the football because he threw a couple of passes and Tyreek didn't see the ball until it hit the dirt. He threw one to Waddle up the rail and he didn't see it till it hit the dirt.
I've never seen that happen in that stadium before.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
The Chargers didn't seem to have any. The Chargers didn't seem to have any problem, and Herbert was at his absolute best.
He was.
He can just do things, Skip, and that's what's so like. Damn, why aren't they better than this? Because you see the man roll to his right and throw the ball on a dime 50 yards. You see him.
It was John Elway all over.
Yes. And you see him make the throws. That throw late in the ball game, Skip, when they didn't want to give the ball back, the one he hit Keenan Allen with on the sideline.
Beautiful.
There are only a handful of quarterbacks that's currently playing or that's ever played that can make that throw.
Or who would even try it.
Yeah. Because you late with that one, it's going back the other way and you find yourself having to do a comeback and to try to win the game now. Skip, look, I mean, Tua was 10 of 28 last night. I think it hurt him a little bit that Tyreek got gimpy. And he ended up having to come out the game because he wasn't running like he normally would run. But that defense isn't that good. Because give them credit last night, they did hold the Chargers down somewhat, but they were giving up 33 points a game on the road.
Yeah.
They're not.
I thought they got after Justin Herbert pretty well.
I think the thing is, Skip, it's going to be very incumbent. I don't know now. They still got another game with the Bills up in Buffalo, and we know what type of weather
coming up now.
We know what type of weather it happens in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Miami has never really been a great weather team. No matter what year, no matter who's the quarterback's been, going to Buffalo this time of year is not very conducive. But when I look at Tua, Skip, I mean, I think Mike McDaniel has done a great job of putting into situations where he's throwing in space and guys are open. Last night, because they couldn't run the ball, they were playing a lot of heavy man coverage underneath, but they had safety help over the top. It's like, guys, get as physical as you want to because we got these safeties back here to help you out over the top. And that calls to it because he's used to throwing guys, Waddle normally being wide open, Tyreek wide open. And now he had to throw in the tighter windows. And they did a great job. They pressured him. They corralled him. Van Noy got after him a little bit. They had a couple. Got after him. But, Skip, I don't think he's as good as those 11 games. I don't think he's as bad as these 2 games. I think he's somewhere in the middle because the first 11 games, Skip, had him in the MVP discussion.
Well, he was leading the league in QBR for 6-8 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Okay. I preface everything I'm about to say about Tua with, I think he's really a great young man with a big, good heart.
Overcome a lot.
He has. And I believe those guys love being around him and sort of vibing off him because he has very positive energy and he's high quality human being. But I'm right where I was before the draft. He's smallish.
Yes.
He's a soft armor.
Yes.
He has little to no velocity.
True.
He has to kind of wind up to throw it deep.
Yes.
And 2/3 of the time it just doesn't quite get there.
Right.
And he's always been a little fragile.
Yes.
Dating to his days at Alabama when it was reported he had 6 or 7 different surgeries while he was at Alabama.
Right.
And he can be vulnerable to any sort of headshot, as we saw earlier this year.
Right.
And the weird thing about him is, for a smallish guy, he's not that quick or athletic around the pocket.
He's slow. He's terribly slow.
He's actually kind of slow.
Yeah.
He had one nice run last night where it went for 14 yards, but he actually ducked between 2 defenders who were just afraid to hit him because it's Tua. You don't want to hit him.
Yeah, it seemed like he was stuck in second gear.
I know. Okay. So all that adds up to, I don't know. He's not the answer to me. And remember, the previous regime was doing their damnedest to replace him.
Well, they wanted Justin Herbert. They didn't want Tua to begin with. It was reported that the quarterback wanted Justin Herbert.
And obviously, Brian Flores was never in on Tua and made life miserable for Tua.
Right.
So they were trying to go in a different direction. And then there was the dalliance with the flirting with Tom Brady that cost them some penalty, right? Okay, so all that's going on, swirling around Tua. So I don't envy what he's been through or is going through. But to your point, Mike McDaniel made miracles with him.
Yes.
But the way you did it was, we've seen this phenomenon happening more and more this year. They went and got Tyreek. Well, he's just the most dangerous deep threat I've ever seen in all my career.
And he got one again.
And he got another one. I'll get to that in just a second. But they drafted Jalen Waddle. So now you got a 1-2 punch of just pure raw speed, the likes of which nobody else has.
Nope.
Then they went and got my little third down playmaker, a little Cedric Wilson.
Right.
He's really good.
Right.
Trust me. And he will make big catches at big moments. They don't utilize him enough.
I agree.
And then Trent Sherfield out of Vanderbilt University is pretty, I got to tell you, he's had some run in this league where he can run by people.
Yes.
Okay, so those four together, there's not a better receiving core than these four as far as just pure wide outs go, right?
Yeah. And he was just bad last night. That was the worst completion percentage, 35.7%, since Sam Darnold in 2019 at 34%.
All right.
That's the worst in franchise history since David Woodley in 1980 at 31%. 10 of 28.
Horrendous. Oh, he was horrendous. Okay, so what happened last night? The weirdest play of the year happened for Tyreek, if we could see it real quick, because this is a ball that's just in the pile, in the scrum, and it squirts out.
Skip, when he picked this ball up, I say, Tyreek gone. Because everybody just standing around, Skip.
And he actually looped.
Look at 32.
But he looped completely around the scrum, and once he hits third gear, it's history. Look, three guys, they're not even in the ballpark. Okay. Play of the year. All right, weird play of the year. And here we go, off to the races again. All right, so that kept them in the game because that cut it to 10-7.
Right.
Then, to your point, he caught a 60-yard touchdown pass, but can we see what happened to Michael Davis, who, by the way, if you didn't notice last night, Michael Davis can flat out cover. Because he's tall.
He's a big physical corner, and he knows he has help on the top, but you got to be careful with this kid.
He got tripped up. Okay, he got tripped up. He got feet tangled. Or he might have been able to get a hand on the throw. And it was a very good throw. It was the best throw Tua made all night. But I'm saying he had been blanketing Tyreek and running with him pretty well. By the way, I looked it up. Would you believe Michael Davis went to Glendale High School out here in Southern California, in the LA area, and he won the state 100 meters all 4 years he was in high school?
Wow.
He can run.
That's saying something.
Okay, then he went to BYU, but he wasn't even drafted. But you can just see he can run.
There are certain states you win the 100 meter, you win the 100 meters in Texas, California, Florida, Georgia, you can fly.
I got it. Okay, so those two plays kept them in a 23-17 ball game. But Tua had his worst game this side of last week, San Francisco.
If I'm Mike McDaniel, I say, hey, ain't nobody showering. Just get y'all ass on the plane because this West Coast trip was terrible.
It was terrible.
Everybody going to be smelling like the overtime.
Yeah.
But we ain't showering. We got to get up out of here because this has left a bad taste in our mouths.
Okay. Gut feeling, Tua, as great a kid as he is, he's not the long-term answer for Miami. He has had, by his standards, given his ceiling, he's had a tremendous year.
Yes.
Well, like an all-time great year, given his degree of difficulty. For his size, his arm, his lack of durability.
Are you looking at a quarterback in the draft?
I would, but that's just me. But I've never been sold on him. You were more sold in the very beginning, but not so much now.
But I knew, Skip, in order for you to maximize what you saw him, you had to get him what he had at Alabama. He had Ruggs, he had Waddle, he had Devontae Smith, he had Jerry Jeudy. So you will give him that, and you look at the running backs that he had. So if you're going to give him that,
I agree.
That's the only way. You can't say, well, I need you to elevate the receivers. You need to put receivers around him to elevate him.
And they did.
They did. They absolutely did.
The new young head coach, he fed off that.
I like him. I like him.
It certainly matters who you're surrounded by. All right, guys, speaking of versions of quarterbacks, let's dive into Dak a little bit. Can we expect to see going forward for him as the Cowboys get ready for that Eagles showdown on Christmas Eve?